Rob McGarty of Bushwick, welcome to Winning the Home Game.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie.
My pleasure. Kind of like a short recap on how we know each other is that going on 9 years, right?
Yeah.
You had a client, and your client happened to choose me as their lender, and that's how we first met.
Absolutely. Yeah. They had this lender I'd never heard of, and I was like, why are you going to make this so hard on me? And then we started working together, and I was like, wow, actually, this lender's amazing.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And here we are today, still working consistently together. And, for me and the team, we kind of see you as, just like a real go-getter. Your clients love you. You have a lot of engineer clients.
Yeah.
Software engineer clients, tech clients for sure.
Yeah.
You write an amazing newsletter that if everybody out there has to sign up for it because it is incredible. How many newsletters have you written?
We're at 460. So that's 460 Friday. I write it every Friday morning.
Okay.
That's 460 Fridays in a row. I've written it from vacations, campgrounds,
wherever you're at.
Wherever we're at, it just goes out.
Right.
And I can't. That's like almost 9 years of doing it consistently.
That's amazing. And I think what I admire about you most is that, real estate, being a real estate broker is tough because at a moment's notice you have to be ready, but you seem to be able to get it all done. Whether that's if you're skiing in Colorado or on a chairlift, answering a question, or on a bike ride with a bunch of people traveling for miles and miles, or just here, you're just such a hard worker and your clients just love you. So we love working with you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. So, not many people know that you were Redfin's very first real estate broker.
Yeah, I bet.
Right. How did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, great question. So we'll kind of weave all those together, I think is probably the best way. So my background is in engineering, kind of engineering brain, and then I have a degree in electrical engineering from UW, and went and did some engineering type stuff, worked in software for a while, realized that wasn't the career I really wanted to be in. And then I bought my first house and had a suboptimal experience. And as I was thinking about maybe engineering wasn't the career I wanted to be in, I started thinking about real estate, got my license. And then at the same time, I had some other engineering friends who had started Redfin. And so this is early days of Redfin where it's still a prototype. And we were talking about the prototype design. And this is way back when it was actually what's called a FAT client. So it was an application on the computer that pulled data in. So you had like a Microsoft Word type program with a map and houses, and then later went on to become a website. So I started doing real estate on my own, and my goal there was to apply sort of the professional services model I was doing in software to real estate rather than the traditional sales model. So I was trying to do stuff a little bit different. And then Redfin had started out as search, and they had a sort of marketplace of agents initially. And I did a little bit of referral business in that marketplace. And then there was a little bit of shakeup with the founders. And
you knew the founders?
I knew the founders. Okay. And so it was a little chaotic. A lot of people, I think almost everybody quit. And there were a couple people left in that rift. And actually my first real role at Redfin, I was actually doing engineering work, keeping the data feed alive and the site up. And then at the time they brought in a new CEO who was Glenn Kellman, who's currently still the CEO. And at the time they were starting to think about going direct to consumers with a real estate offering. And they called this Redfin Direct. And the product offering was basically houses on a map and a buy button, and you could buy that house. And then to service the back end, they needed real estate agents to do that. And that's where I joined, when I joined Redfin.
Wow. So you started on the back end and then became a real estate broker that way.
It was a short stint as a contractor on the back end, just for a few weeks to keep the site up during that transitional period.
And what you knew before with your background, how do you think that helps you as far as being a broker, aside from you're attracting a lot of engineers yourself?
Yeah. So, I feel like I have good rapport with engineers. I understand the challenges they have in thinking about how stuff works, which I still have on my own personal stuff, overanalyzing everything,
right.
But helping talk them through that process and being able to present actual data that's relevant to what we're doing. So a lot of data that real estate agents have access to is very canned and generic, whereas we can dive into the details and get the exact specific stuff that we need, and we can talk in a similar language there.
I love that. I didn't really know the whole story, so this is incredible. Wow. Okay, perfect.
Oh, the story gets crazier.
Oh, really? Okay, keep going. Well, Redfin's come a long way.
Redfin's come a long way.
Yeah.
So I joined as the first agent, grew out the Seattle sales team, and then ultimately the West Coast team. At the same time, other fun fact, we spun up a mortgage division back then, and so we had a mortgage group, which we didn't do a lot with, and then we started doing in-house mortgage stuff with one person, and then shut that down, and then later tried to bring it back. And then that's around the time when I left at the end of 2010. And then they went on to buy a mortgage company a couple of years ago, Bay Equity, and that didn't turn out super great. But then ultimately, just recently, they were acquired by a mortgage company. Right. So it's almost like full circle. Right. They went from
crazy
dipping in mortgage to now it's being owned by a mortgage company.
So you went from, managing a large sales team to opening your own real estate brokerage, right? More of a boutique type.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a intermediary stop there. So after Redfin, I did another startup with some Redfin people, and then did another startup with the Redfin founder in real estate. And so we tried to do another real estate disruption play using more technology on the home buying and selling side. So we developed sort of Matterport before there was Matterport, which are the 3D home tours where you can go and walk around a house. So we built a lot of that technology. We actually have a ton of patents. I can't even remember the number of patents.
Wow.
But Matterport got to market faster than us.
Yes.
It's obviously an excellent product that we use today. But we developed that to be a disruptive play to say, make it easier for buyers to see and play around in a house. This is 10 plus years ago.
I love that.
So a very different time. Now it's just table stakes. Everybody has Matterport in their house. Okay. And when they don't, everybody gets upset.
Exactly.
Or we know there's something wrong with the house.
Right. Can't get on Matterport. Exactly. Right.
And so that was another disruptive play. We're trying to use that technology to drive prices down, sort of like Redfin. Other agents in the industry didn't like that. And it was just there's a lot of friction. It was hard. It was hard work because everyone kind of hated you and wanted to yell at you. And so I had to split up with that founder. And then after that, I was like, I'm just going to I really enjoy real estate and I love my clients. I love the process and educating people. And I'm just going to do real estate with the nice people.
Right.
And so my focus was, I'm just going to start a small brokerage that's just myself. So there's no partners, Bushwick. And that's Bushwick. And so I started Bushwick, and it was just me working with clients individually, providing high level of service, and just having good relationships with them. And it turned out to be a lot of fun.
Right.
And then it turned out working with those people, working with nice people, turns out they have a lot of friends and relatives and other people who are nice people. And you start working with more and more nice people. And all of a sudden, work and everything blends together, and it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Because you're doing stuff that's super fun.
Right. You do like to have a lot of fun.
I do like to have fun.
I do, for sure.
Yeah.
And so Bushwick is a boutique real estate firm. Yeah. But what does boutique really mean to you?
To me, it's like super personalized service. So our brokerage, it's primarily me. We have a couple support people. We have a couple agents that help with field work and showings. And then we have a little bit of office help. We're working on adding a little bit more to that as the business grows. But it's not like a traditional brokerage where if you were to ask me like what the traditional real estate brokerage model is, I would say it's to get as many butts and seats as you can, because the brokerage is only interested in getting the desk fees or commission splits or whatever to keep the people in the office. And whereas we're just focused on the clients. So we have no agents who are running their own businesses.
It's just you.
It's just me. And we have other people that are licensed agents, but we all support our clients. No one has their clients and my clients. It's all our clients.
And how do you think that impacts the client experience?
I think it's phenomenal because we have, the main reason even for getting some agents to help with showings is because we can't be in two places at once. And most buyers tend to want to see houses at a similar time of day or days. And so we can't really get around town at the same time without teleportation, which maybe soon.
Maybe.
But this way we have these other agents that go out and meet with the clients, and then we communicate, right after the showing, we text each other, let each other know what's going on. And then our daily meetings, we talk about what they saw, liked, didn't like, and all that's communicated. And so as a team, we all know what's going on with each client.
And so they're very well taken care of, basically.
They're super well taken
Right.
care of.
And is your goal, do you have some type of goal, like you want, world-class service, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the ultimate goal is that, every client definitely comes back to use us again.
Okay.
And I would say my personal goal would be one referral from every client every year. Would be the metric, which is a hard metric to hit.
How do you keep in touch with clients after closing?
So we we do a ton of stuff after closing. It's like once we're in that throughout the transaction, afterwards we're their resource for everything they need with the house. And so any sort of, house specific stuff, we have a huge network of contractors and stuff that can come out and help. We have a huge network of people that help in all aspects of life, from like financial planners, estate and trust people,
Plumbers?
plumbers. We got the house stuff we've got on lock.
Right.
But it's like the other stuff we kind of put in the category of grown-up stuff.
Okay.
So any sort of stuff you need help with, we usually have somebody. If we don't know the answer, we know who to talk to and can get you connected. And then on top of that, we do client events a couple times a year, and other stuff, like we do crazy gifts like these silly socks here. We just sent out for Father's Day. So we came with, I forget how we came up with the idea, but it was, cheesy Father's Day gifts. Everyone gets socks or ties.
Right.
We're like, socks would be cool. So we did socks.
I love that. Okay, perfect. Okay, shifting here a little bit. Having helped clients since 2004, how do you see the current Seattle market? I know there's a lot of years in between that, but if you can summarize it, how would you see that?
I think the easiest answer is there's no difference.
Wow.
I think the market has been overall the same for a long, long, long time. I look back, I bought my first house in 2000, and I actually started in 98 looking at houses and gave up because it was insane. Like every house I wanted, I was a first time home buyer at pretty recent out of college and trying to get an entry level house in Seattle, and it was a bloodbath every week. Everything was bid up. It didn't make any sense to me, and so I just hit pause and rented for 2 more years, and then finally bought a house. Hindsight, wish I would have bought a house in 98, not 2000.
Right.
But that demand hasn't changed. And if we look back, way back in time, I think it was like 1971, you look at, there's always been this influx of people in the Northwest. And in 1971, the governor of Oregon had this sign at the border of California that said something along the lines of, "Welcome to Oregon, please don't stay."
Right, I remember
Because people would be coming up and then just be like, "This is great, I'm moving here." And so they felt it back then. And then that translates all the way up the West Coast to Washington as well. So we've always had this influx of people from California and other areas, and that's never going to change. And then I think during that same time was the slowdown in Boeing, which used to be the only big industry in town. And so there was that famous sign right around the same time, which was, "Will the last person in Seattle turn out the lights?" Because Boeing was sort of going down.
Right.
But fast forward to today, you still have that demand. We sort of still have Boeing, but we have a ton of other huge companies. Like 2 of the world's largest companies are based here.
Amazon.
Founded and based here.
Microsoft
and Amazon in our backyard. And on top of that, every other big tech company has a huge office here because we had a great talent pool of
recruiting frenzy and
engineers. And then on top of that, we've got all these other businesses, like consumer-facing businesses. So it makes a pretty diverse economy. So we've got Costco's based here, Starbucks is based here, Nordstrom's based here, and then you got pretty big biotech, like Seagen, which is Seattle Genetics, just got bought by Pfizer for like $60 billion last year, and a bunch of other biotech plus Fred Hutch. So I feel a very diverse and strong economy. So we're not just reliant on one big company like Boeing. So economy is strong, which leads to housing being strong. And then on top of that, it's a place where I think people just want to live. It's super beautiful. especially in the summer when it's daylight till 10 p.m. and the weather's perfect. The winter, it's a little bit harder sell. But the other thing is it's like a climate hedge because we have, even in the winter or summer, we have pretty temperate weather. It doesn't get crazy hot. We don't have the humidity.
Not too much snow.
Not too much snow in town. We don't have bugs, which people don't really talk about.
So good.
And so we have a lot of clients from out of the area. Like, so one thing we do, side note, one thing we do on listings, we usually take the screens out so you can get a better view out of the windows. And we have a lot of people from out of town who are super worried about the screens. They just freak out like, oh my God, you need the screens for the bugs and all that. Like, well,
I don't have screens either.
Yeah. Well, we usually, when we're listing, we take them out, label them, put them in the garage or storage somewhere. So it's a much crisper view.
I like that.
And we tell them, hey, the screens are out just for the listing. They're there, but you really don't need them because there's no bugs.
You don't.
Yeah. And then also just like from major, like environmental catastrophes, like we don't get tornadoes. We do have like some risk on tsunami. There might be an earthquake.
Knock on wood.
Or there might be a giant volcano explosion, but I think they're pretty low probability. Whereas, in California, we've got we do have fires, but California is way worse. Florida has hurricanes just consistently every year. Other areas are flooding every year in the same spot, whereas our stuff is a little bit spread out.
So I love this because your motto is the market is crazy. Get an agent who isn't. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, it's a great story. So it's actually a little bit layered in. So number one, when I started Bushwick, the previous company I was telling you about with the 3D tours and stuff, one of our clients there was a graphic designer for this local sale firm called Heckler, which did all the big logos for like Starbucks and Ivers and Rainier Beer and other stuff. And he was the guy who actually came up with the concepts. And like when we sold his condo and moved him, he had just stacks. I mean, like this tall, multiple piles of sketchbooks that were, maybe 2 feet by 3 feet, biggest sketchbooks I've ever seen, 2 inches thick. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm starting this new company. I need a logo. Can you help? He's like, sure, no problem. I've got just the logo for you. And I was like, cool. He's like, come over. And so I went over to his house, their condo, and he just pulls out one of these books, flips it open, and is like, that's your logo.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And it was just all of his sketches for years of all these brands and products he worked on. And so it turned out there was this one, I don't even remember the company, but they were doing some concept with a bee and a shield. And he just had pages and pages of different iterations on it. And he's just like, this one. And then at the time, his partner back from Heckler, and still to that day, they worked together. He did like the drawing and color stuff. And his partner's one who would draw it up in Illustrator and do the actual finished product. So he was like the concept guy and he was the finished guy. And his finished guy's son was doing marketing type stuff. And at the time I was putting together an ad for my kids' elementary school student directory. So this is back when you're allowed to do that, because right after that, Sale Public Schools decided that was no longer allowed, invasion of privacy, even though it was the most handy thing as a parent ever. But he came up with this idea for the ad that the market is crazy, get an agent who isn't.
And who are crazy agents?
I mean, it's hard to say because I'm also mildly crazy, but I mean, we're all a little bit crazy, right. But it's sort of a fun joke.
Right.
But the market's crazy. And then if you haven't seen the Rainier Beer movie, you should totally check it out, because that movie is actually all about the firm Heckler and how they basically built the brand for Rainier and all the crazy stuff they did. So I don't know if you remember the commercials from the 70s and 80s, but they went behind the scenes and how they did that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Check that out. Okay, great. So shifting gears a little bit, you're known for winning multiple offer scenarios. I see it all the time. What's your philosophy for staying creative and competitive in that type of environment? Because we're still seeing that in today's market.
We are. Yeah. It's less frequent than it was then during COVID times when money was free and crazy multiple offers, but we're still seeing multiple offers on good properties. The main thought process is always, at the end of the day, most, and I say most because some sellers are crazy, but most sellers want the most money with the least risk. And so understanding what terms the sellers are looking for and how we can package that to be as risk-free for the seller while minimizing the amount the buyer has to pay. So there's a lot of times where we'll be the winning offer when we're not the highest price. And it comes down to typically better terms. What it comes down to is making the least risk for the seller and also the least risk for the agent. So at the end of the day, really the seller wants to get the most money with the least risk, meaning that they're actually going to get the money and that it's not a pipe dream. However, some sellers are crazy and they will go for the extra money even though they're risking somebody who might not even be pre-approved or something crazy like that. And then on the agent side, they want to get the deal done. So, and then on the listing agent side, they want to make sure the deal gets done. And so they want to have complete confidence that the agent on the other side is going to get the deal done, do what they say they're going to do, and make it a seamless transaction for them. So part of it is structuring an offer with as favorable terms as possible for the seller. We're going to have to put as much money as we can for the buyer, but most buyers tend to have a limit, and that's our limit. And so we make the terms super appealing. And then on the flip side, we work really closely with the listing agent to demonstrate that, if we haven't already worked with them and proven it on a previous deal, we let them know that we're going to be super easy to work with and it's going to be as clean as possible. So that helps getting the listing agent to start advocating for us as well. And so there's many instances where we're the lower offer. The agent will call us and say, hey, we want to work with you guys. The other offer's here. And then number one, that gives us another at-bat with the buyer, which does not always happen. And sometimes we go back to the buyer and say, hey, you can get it at this price, which is more than you want to pay. Do you want it? And sometimes our clients will say, nope, we're good. Other times they'll say, okay, maybe. And then we potentially work something out there. And then, or we'll be able to negotiate. We'll now know that the seller prefers our terms, the listing agent prefers us, and we can strategically also just hold at our offer knowing that we have better terms. And sometimes it works. Sometimes they do go with the higher price, but usually they go with a lower risk.
Right. Do you know off the top of your head, like how many offers there were on a winning deal that you got? The highest amount?
I mean, COVID times, we would see stuff over 30 offers.
And you won? You and your client won?
We've won. I can't think exactly off the top of my head, but there
double
are
digits for sure.
Double digits for sure. I haven't seen 30 in a long time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think I want to see that ever again.
Yeah, it's kind. I mean, it's not good for anyone when there's 30 offers.
No, especially for the buyer. I mean,
for the buyer,
I feel like you have to be like a therapist too, because they're spending money on inspections if they have to have that. If there's no re-inspection, it's just loss after loss.
An emotional roller coaster,
right.
An unnecessary emotional roller coaster, and then a lot of times you get agents who can't even process that many offers. So you've got chaos on that end, and it's hard to even talk to the agent to get communication, and it's a rodeo. No one wants it.
Now we're going into the home stretch of the show, and I'm going to ask you, what is one thing you wish your client knew or understood before making an offer?
God, it's a good question. I mean, the answer is they know everything. We educate them so well coming to the process.
Okay.
We just educate them really well. We just have a great process of educating our buyers when we first meet them and talking them through everything. And in the instance we do find something that doesn't fit, which, I mean, even after doing this for 20 years, I still routinely run into stuff that I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. So there's always something new. But if there is, we work that into our process, and the next time around, we add that to our educational process.
What is one money tip you live by?
Oh, the number one money tip of all time, and I'm trying real hard to educate my kids and their friends, is spend less than you make.
Right. Housing too?
Housing too, everything. Spend less than you make. You can't spend more than you make. It does not work.
And I feel like, when I pre-approve clients, most of them are approved for a much higher purchase price and loan amount than they actually even knew. And so it's great to see that they're looking at the monthly payment more than anything, and they're budgeting that way.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. What is one must-have kitchen appliance or household item you can't live without?
Let's see, there's so many gadgets. I'm an engineer, so I love gadgets.
That's right.
And stuff. So we got lots of stuff. I would say I have an Ultra Lock. I think is how you pronounce it. ULTRALOQ. Smart lock. So at first when I saw this one with the round, the numbers are in a circle pattern,
Okay.
and I thought it was kind of cheesy looking at first, but it's amazing. It's got Wi-Fi,
What does it do?
Bluetooth. It's just a electronic door lock.
Okay.
And the reason I got it was because my kids never locked the door, and so our door was just unlocked all the time. And this has an auto lock feature that you can set to automatically lock after so much time. But you can unlock it with a code, a fingerprint,
Love that.
the app, and you can set codes for friends, family, temporary codes for contractors if you want. And it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so you can open the door from here or there. You can always also look to see if it's locked.
It's really cool.
It's
I have to
super
look at it.
nice.
Ultra lock.
Yeah, Ultra Lock, and it's I think just on Amazon. And the reason I like that better than the main brands is it has all the networking stuff built in.
Right. I like that. Okay. So you remodeled several homes.
Yep.
How does that firsthand experience influence your advice to home buyers about budgeting, envisioning, or in anything that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, so remodeling is really hard, and you don't know what you don't know. So until you start tearing stuff out, there could be 3 other levels of remodel in there, especially in some of these 100-year-old houses. And so as you start opening stuff, you're going to find other things and other things. So I think the way that experience helps is that we can go into a house and try and find out the edges of the problem. And so, and what I mean by that is what's possible. Like, how far can you remodel this house without expanding it, opening rooms and doing that kind of stuff. And at the same time, potentially finding you can't always figure out load-bearing walls and other stuff that would just be too hard to move. And so we can then shrink the problem down to being like, hey, you can do this, you could do this. Like the best phrase I like is, given enough time and money, you can do anything. Is sort of the engineering phrase. But the reality is it doesn't make sense, especially with today's cost of, building materials and labor costs and permitting and all that stuff. A lot of times it's just not worth it.
Right.
And it's better to get a house.
And you're able to give that advice to your
Yeah, and
clients.
we can give that advice. And I'm still shocked at some of the prices. Like I have prices in mind for what some of the projects are. And then I talk to our contractors or architects and they give me numbers and just, what?
Wow. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. All right. So in this competitive market, how do you support nervous buyers? And it's normal to be a very nervous first-time home buyers.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
With our experience, when we see a client coming back to us after purchase, they're still like, oh yeah, we got to do this, we got to do that. Yeah. But it's so right to be nervous. But how do you support them, especially when offers might fall through?
Yeah.
And things don't happen exactly how they want.
Yeah. Well, number one, I say offers. We don't see a lot of offers falling through. We did a lot of prep work up front in that regard. Especially working with a lender like you that does pre-underwriting, that solves almost all of the loan problems. And then it's pretty rare to see something die at an inspection, just given most homes in our market these days are pre-inspected by the seller. So we know a lot of it.
Is that a requirement for your listings?
No, we talk about it. So there's a big trade-off. So pre-COVID, it was sort of a bigger conversation where we would talk with the seller and say, hey, if you pre-inspect your house, it's great because it makes it easier for buyers to make an offer. Like you said, in that multiple offer situation, they're not having to pay to have a pre-inspection done. But on the flip side, before COVID, buyers were a little skeptical of seller-provided inspection reports. And also, as a seller, if you do an inspection and find out there's something wrong with your house that you didn't know about, now it's a new disclosure item. So you got to figure out which side you want to be on.
Should they be skeptical? Even though an inspector is an outside company that doesn't work for the
should buyers be skeptical?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Should buyers be skeptical?
Yes and no. I think, so there are some inspections out there where we get them and it's laughable. It's like 4 pages and there's no information. And so those inspections, like we tell our buyers, that's not helpful. Like we can't rely on that. But if it's done by a reputable inspector and it's a big enough or detailed report where we can see they went through a lot of stuff, it's pretty good. At the end of the day, the inspector's a human inspecting the house. And so I think if you put two inspectors in the same house, you can end up with most of the same stuff, but some are going to miss some stuff and get other stuff. And it's just a function of being humans doing the work. We don't see it's pretty rare to see a deal fall through after it's under contract. But the nervousness is there the whole time. And the way we support that is lots of communication. So we have a prescriptive communication plan we do with everybody involving like weekly calls and status emails and just trying to always let them know what's coming up next. And then on top of that, we're in constant communication in their preferred communication chat, whether that's text or phone or email or whatnot.
I think that's so important. Even on the lending side, we have a process where we're very proactive.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be a time where clients are going to wonder, what's going on. And I know you're the same way too.
Yeah. And I almost view it as a failure if they have to ask us.
Yes, 100%.
And so when that does come up, which it does, we work that back into our process and be like, hey, how could we have given that information so they didn't have to ask us? Because it's on if they have to ask us, I feel like we missed something along the way. So I'd rather have it that we communicated to them, they didn't see it, and they're asking us. That's totally okay. But if they ask us something we didn't communicate it, we're going to fix that.
That's wonderful. Okay. All right. So here we go. Home game highlights. If you could give one piece of advice to a first-time home buyer, what would it be? And even if they're not working with you.
Yeah, totally. So my advice would, and this is advice for a younger first-time home buyer. So assuming like a lot of first-time home buyers, it's great. So this would be advice for a younger first-time home buyer earlier in career. And my advice would be to push as far as you can on your purchase price.
Interesting. Why would that be?
And not push to the point of you can't afford it. So like we talked about, you're going to be approved for a range of money. You don't need to go to the top, but don't stay at the bottom. Push yourself into a house that's going to be not just your first house, but it's going to have a little bit of room to grow. It's not going to be a forever house. It's not going to be a giant house. And the reason for that is that house is more likely going to appreciate more than the smaller house. And over time, when you're early in career, you're going to lock in that mortgage at whatever rate it is you can afford, whether that rate's 9%, 8%, doesn't matter. You can afford it. And if you're within that band of what you can afford, over time, it's likely that rate's going to go down. It'll refinance. It'll become lower. Worst case, it stays the same for 30 years. But your career is going to grow. You're going to make more money. And it's going to become a smaller percent of your overall monthly payment. And then on top of that, rent is just going to keep going up and up and up over time. So once you lock in that first house and fix your monthly your monthly payment, and your income grows up, you'll end up having more and more disposable income over time and be able to do stuff like buy a new house, rent that house, buy another house, buy a second house, go on vacations, do whatever you want. And you'll have a lot of financial freedom.
I love that. I agree with that 100% too.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, great. Thank you so much, Rob. This, engineer turned real estate broker is so cool. Right? Especially for our clients here in the tech hub here. Yeah. We're in Lake Union today. And, I think that's such a great duo right there if you think about it.
Yeah, no, it's...
Right. And I think that's why you really, can really relate to them, and you forge such great friendships with a lot of your past clients are your friends. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Either they started out as friends or they ended as friends.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good. So where can people follow you on social today?
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of activity on social on Instagram and Facebook. Our main activity is really that newsletter we talked about. So you could sign up for that at bushwick.com/newsletter. And we publish a snippet of the newsletter every week on Instagram and Facebook. Otherwise, you can call, text, email, snail mail, stop by the office, anything.
We'll have all that information below as well.
Awesome. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.